This is JoyNews, independent, fearless, and credible. You're watching JoyNews Prime with me, Samuel Kojo. Bracing the headlines this hour. Tonight, minority weight into controversial KPMG SML report demanding that a full audit report is laid in Parliament. We have the latest. Also, security experts call for immediate resolution to growing phenomenon of clashes between security agencies, as there are fears this could open door for external attacks. Details as analyst Dr. Adam Bona says the police must be invited to investigate and prosecute prisons and armed forces officers involved in the Boko clash. Also, the director for the Institute of Applied Sciences and Technology at the University of Ghana, Professor David Doduayan, says an innovative way of solving the plastic waste menace is by educating the public on turning plastic waste into a profitable venture. Well, the minority has waded into controversial KPMG SML report, calling on the President, Nana Akufo-Addo, to make the full audit report into the contract between the Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited, SML, and the Ghana Revenue Authority public. They are further asking for it to be laid in Parliament. More on that shortly. But first, here is the reaction of lead investigator of the Fourth Estate, Manasseh Azure, to the report from the President on the findings by KPMG.
It is commendable that the President decided to look into it and certain actions have been taken. It is important to stress that the component of the contract that has been cancelled is the biggest component in terms of the revenue we are saving. The upstream, petroleum, and also the mining sector components of the contract, per our production figures as a country, we were going to pay about $90 million to KPMG every single year. So that angle has been, or component has been cancelled. So it is significant savings, in addition to some price verification aspect that has also been cancelled. Now, the part that has been kept is the downstream petroleum contract. And that one, the President based his decision to keep the contract on the basis that SML is checking under reporting and under declaration. If you watch our documentary, we put this question to SML and asked whether they were doing under reporting or they were checking under the reporting or under declaration. The company said they were doing none of those services.
It was on their website.
It was on their website, and after we confronted them, they deleted that information from their website. The GRA, which awarded the contract to SML, also told us that SML did not and does not check under reporting or under declaration. The most disturbing part of that contract is the measurement that SML's meters claim to be taken. Those measurements are not used for tax purposes by even the GRA, which contracted them. We asked the SML engineers, which of the recordings, the NPA has a system called the ERDMS that is connected to the customs system, the ICOMS. And it is the figures that go through the NPA system that are used for tax purposes. And SML's engineers explained that their meters, the SML meters, are non-intrusive. They are placed on the pipelines, but the meters at the depots that go through the NPA system that is used by customs, they take more accurate recording because they are intrusive. They take the exact measurement of petroleum product that goes through them. So the very basis for keeping that contract that SML is checking under declaration, under reporting, the company has said on record, and it is honored in our documentary, on camera, that we don't do those services.
So on what basis then will the presidency be acting by saying that that contract should rather go on when KPMG, and as we've watched in your documentary, have clearly alluded to the fact that they are not doing that work, and in fact have put SML, I should say, and have in fact gone ahead to take down that aspect from their website. But here we see in the president's directives that that contract must stay. So what might be contributing to that, especially when KPMG is simply telling you don't have that? Do you see that maybe KPMG has been shown contracts, probably that have been signed, for which reason the president now said that should go on?
Well, I would be very measured in perhaps attacking KPMG until I see the KPMG report. Because I did a JIDA investigation, the president issued some directives on the JIDA report. But when the report itself was published, it was worse than what the presidency issued. This was in 2013. So with this experience, I'm a bit measured. But what we can say is that, look, it is good news to the Republic of Ghana that the upstream petroleum contract and the gold mining contracts are off the table.
Well, member of the Finance Committee of Parliament, Isaac Adongo, is now elevating the cause a notch higher. He says the report must be made available to the Finance Committee of Parliament to aid its investigations into the matter. Let's share with you details of the statement that he's put out here. Now, if you look at it, he says the budget hearing concerning the governmental obligations of the GRA, it was brought to the attention of the Finance Committee that the agreement in question had been procured through illegitimate means without the requisite sanctions of Parliament. Now, he says, and in flagrant violation of Section 33 of the Public Financial Management Act. Now, he continues to say that it is worth highlighting that this particular section dictates that Parliament must duly authorize all agreement involving multi-year commitment with the state, and that any deviation from this requirement is a serious matter that ought to be addressed with the utmost gravity. So that's the point that he's making here, that, look, because Parliament says the Constitution or the law gives us the power to go through such contract that is a multi-year one, and this was not brought, it's something that is a violation of the law, and we must address this. He again says the Finance Committee subsequently recommended to the House that the GRA, through the Ministry of Finance, suspend the agreement and payment on the SML contract, pending the outcome of the investigation. He says Parliament then approved this recommendation that they made to the House. Now, it is essential to emphasize that the procurement of KPMG had a specific objective. He comes to the work done by KPMG here. And he says the objective was to distort the allegations' substance, conceal fact, and facilitate a seamless transition to a renewed agreement. So that's the thought of Honorable Isaac Adongo here. He says the procurement of KPMG raises severe and valid concerns whether it was intended and designed to preclude investigations into illegal or legal compliance. So, I mean, he's bringing to the fore a lot of issues about even the involvement of KPMG here. He says, quote, what were the terms of reference of KPMG and whether the terms of reference include, 1, the establishment of compliance with the Public Procurement Act, whether KPMG was asked to check those, and 2, establishment of compliance with the Public Financial Management Act. Again, 3, whether there was value for money, and 4, the gaps in the system operated by state agencies such as MPA, and whether there was any need beyond assisting state agencies to improve their systems and avoid paying such unconscionable sums to the SML. So that is the thought by the member of the Finance Committee in Parliament. Adam Senanu is an anti-corruption campaigner, and he'll be joining us on this particular matter. But these are the issues that, the member on the Finance Committee is bringing to the fore with regards to this particular matter that has to do with the SML and the work that KPMG did as well. He's calling on the presidency that such a report should be laid in Parliament. Well, we'll revert to this particular story later on. But let's, away from that, to other stories now. Security experts are raising concern over the growing phenomenon of open clashes between personnel of the various security agencies. The latest of such incident is the clash between officers of the Ghana Prison Service and the Boko local prisons and personnel of the of the Ghana Armed Forces on Thursday. The cause of the clash is yet to be known. Video circulating on social media show heavily armed officers in a tense confrontation. The footage reveals an officer with a severe face injury and another officer expressing distress from a pickup. The Ghana Prison Service has, in a statement, urged calm as it says it sent high-powered delegation to Boko to investigate the matter. Speaking on the midday news this afternoon, National Coordinator of the West African Network for Peace Building, WANEP Ghana, Albert Yeliang, said the incident could open doors for external attacks.
Between the factions or among the factions, and when I say among, I mean other parties that might not be directly involved in the Boko situation, also have interest. So if they have their own thoughts about the conflict and own, strategies as to outwit each other or to gain advantages over others, and then they see that there is that kind of non-coordination, the team of the security is not working as a team, then it might be complicated and they could be taking advantage. Besides them, you would probably have some external groups that might be sitting somewhere and observing what is happening. And don't forget that we have been concerned about either an emergence or infiltration of extremism or external cross-border incursion. So we need to be very mindful of how we work as a team, among the security agencies.
Now, security analyst Dr. Adam Bona says the police must be involved to investigate the matter, including prosecuting the officers involved.
If you ask me whether there will be anything coming out of these investigations, I will tell you no.
You have absolutely no faith in this yet to start investigation.
I have absolutely no faith in the investigations, because which power has the Ghana Prison Service? What power do they have apart from conducting their own internal investigations? They can only invite their own personnel to interrogate them with regards to what took place on this day.
There's somebody much higher or somebody different from the prison service should rather be the one to lead it.
No, it's not about the prison service. Those who have power to do these investigations is the Ghana Police Service.
Right.
And what happened is pure criminality. And because when you fight, you are supposed to be arrested and prosecuted before courts. The prisons must conduct their own internal investigations. The military would have to also conduct their own internal investigations. But we need thorough investigations conducted by the Ghana Police Service.
Peter Tobu is a member of the Defense and Interior Committee in Parliament and joins us on the phone lines now for more. Grateful to you, sir, for joining us. Now, you've heard the concerns there. What's your initial reaction?
Good evening, my brother, and good evening to your cherished listeners. Good evening to my brother on the other side, Adam Bona. I heard him just speak right now. I will first of all want to thank the Chief of Defense Staff, the Director General of the Ghana Prison Service, the Inspector General of Police, the Municipal Chief Executive of Boko, and Boko Naba himself, that finally an easy calm has returned to Boko. I know a lot has gone on behind the scenes, but the truth of the matter is that the optics of what happened in Boko is an embarrassment to the security sector of Ghana, very particularly. It's an embarrassment to the Ghana Armed Forces, and it's a total disgrace to the Ghana Prison Service. Why do I say so? There is one reason why all these security officers are in Boko, to bring about the peace that we've been looking for years. They are supposed to create an enabling environment for us to look for peace. So if security officers themselves are becoming a source of violence, a source of insecurity, that is not something that we shouldn't be condemning day in and day out. I condemn that public show of violence between these two security forces with all the strength that is in me. And I think that, as Adam Bona suggested, I want to encourage the Inspector General of Police, the man in charge of internal security, particularly on investigations of crime, to investigate the matter. Let prison service have their own internal investigation. Let the Ghana Armed Forces with the military police do their own investigation. But for the criminal aspect, let the Inspector General of Police do the investigation, because this must be nipped in the bud. Those who be found culpable should be treated with the laws that will put them right, because this is not something that we should be joking with. Soldiers fighting with prison officers openly, and we think that in Boko in particular, and we think that is something that is just an ordinary battle. No. There is a reason why every officer in uniform is taught international humanitarian law. We do understand. You see, if you are taking to international humanitarian law, you just realize that The principal purpose of international humanitarian law is to protect the life, health, human dignity of civilians and combatants who are no longer involved in battle. So what was the purpose of this altercation that we watched? It's embarrassing to have some of us who got the opportunity to watch it.
Okay. Now, I mean, you've just said it right there, that the police must investigate this. But they always say prevention is better than cure. How do we prevent some of these from happening?
We have structures. When you go to the operational ground, there is supposed to be command and control. The Boko operation is supposed to be structured. If command fails, people are held responsible. Okay. For us to nip this in the bud and prevent it from happening again, look, people must be held accountable when they go wrong. There is no police document, there is no military document, and there is no prison office document that says that if you breach the rule or if you misconduct yourself, you should be forgiven of your sins. There is no Bible. All the books that are controlling these institutions talks about punishment. So those who are faulted should be punished. Okay. And it will serve as a deterrent to other like-minded people. Simple and short. Without accountability, we promote impunity.
Okay. Grateful to you, sir, for joining us here. That's Honorable Tobu. He has been a former police officer before. Away from that campaign team for the independent candidate for the upcoming Ejisu by-election, Kwabena also Aduomi says the electorate are ready to defend their ballot. The attempt of the former MP who has severed ties with the MPP to stage a comeback threatens the party's hold of the constituency. His team has alleged the MPP is hatching plans to win the election through dubious means. Isaac Boafo is the campaign coordinator for Kwabena Osu Aduomi.
We have convened this morning to address the alarming and reckless behavior exhibited by Chairman Wuntumi, the NPP, and certain government officials leading up to the Ejoso by-election. It is with grave concern that we bring to light the nefarious schemes concocted by the NPP in their bid to manipulate Tuesday's by-election. Among the diabolic plans orchestrated by the NPP are as follows. 1. Ballot box stuffing, a blatant attempt to undermine the integrity of the electoral process. 2. Allegations of bribing Electoral Commission officials to compromise on voting day, a despicable act that strikes at the heart of democracy. 3. Utilization of military personnel to intimidate strongholds of Honorable Kwabena Osu Aduomi. A clear abuse of power aimed at suppressing the will of the people. 4. Deployment of police officers from different regions to seize control of ballot boxes, a flagrant violation of electoral norms. 5. Threats of power outages during vote counting, a cowardly tactic to sow confusion and undermine transparency. 6. Utilization of metro men to forcibly snatch ballot boxes from the new sites and smaller towns, a brazen assault on the sanctity of the electoral process. 7. Transporting over 500 SHS students to vote in an attempt to manipulate the outcome of the election, a shameful exploitation of young voters. 8. Admission by NPP leadership at a critical meeting of their intention to resort to electoral fraud, demonstrating a blatant disregard for democratic principles. 9. Unfounded attempts to tag Honorable Osu Aduomi as an NDC sympathizer to incite discord among constituents, a baseless and malicious tactic. We issue a stern warning to the NPP that we will fiercely defend our ballots with every fiber of our being. Despite the desperate attempts to subvert the democratic process, Ejoso will stand firm and resolute on Tuesday.
The group is also alleging that the MPP is buying vote with state resources.
We condemn in the strongest terms the wasteful expenditure of state resources for vote buying. It is reprehensible that such resources are not allocated to address the pressing challenges facing our communities. Ejoso will make a resounding statement on Tuesday, reaffirming our commitment to democracy and justice. NPP knows that their candidate stands no chance in this by-election, and for which reason they have resorted to telling wicked lies and digging dirt on Honorable Kwabena Owusu Aduomi. The pinnacle of deceitfulness lies in the NPP's audacious claim that the Bonre Market project, personally financed by Honorable Owusu Aduomi, is somehow a middle belt development project. Let us set the record straight. Middle belt market projects are not under the purview of members of parliament. They are typically awarded to contractors through formal procurement processes.
Well, the MPP's National Communications Director, Richard Anyaba, has been responding to these allegations on Election Brief.
I've been in the constituency the past 1 week. We've been working there late at night, going back and forth, trying to engage people, let them understand why they should vote for the New Patriotic Party. There isn't any plan that I am aware of or that has been hatched by anyone to rig the elections. I'm not sure where, I don't know who spoke, if it's the former MP who spoke or his representative. But
it's his coordinator, his campaign coordinator.
It's a blatant falsehood. What they are doing in the constituency, I think, is most repugnant. They are going around deceiving people and misrepresenting themselves as MPP. I hear what they are doing in the constituency because we're doing a lot of house-to-house. People tell us, oh, they came here. Yesterday, typically, a whole community we went to in Bonre, people were telling us they'll come here and tell them that, oh, they should vote for Aduomi, that the vote will translate to MPP. This deceit are things that are going around the constituency peddling. So for him to mount a platform for his people to carry on in this manner, for me, is most unfortunate and undeserving of a former MP on the ticket of the New Patriotic Party. I think that is most unfortunate. There is no such thing. He is not provided to you or to the press when he spoke to them any evidence whatsoever to indicate what he's saying, that will stuff the ballot box, will use military. Complete falsehood was what he was peddling. I think that is a preemptive conversation he wants to institute and then to make himself relevant as if he's doing anything in the constituency.
Well, let's return to our first story where there have been calls on the president to release the full report of KPMG into the SML GRA contract. There, let's bring in Edmson, who is an anti-corruption crusader. He joins us via Zoom now. Grateful to you for joining us here. First, what's your view about the calls for the presidency to make the full report public?
Well, I think that this is something that the president and the presidency ought to have done, even without the need for the calls by civil society or media. We have in the past pointed out that trend where reports are sent to the presidency by institutions that have been asked to investigate, and then they are kept, and there's a commentary on the report. It appears that the president then takes the position that they are the clearinghouse to decide on which aspects of the report to give the public. It is unacceptable. So these calls are absolutely in the right direction, and it's unfortunate that this has not been done already.
I believe the OSP has a role to play in here. What do you expect of what the OSP could do on this?
Yes, I mean, in spite of and I'll call them administrative instructions that the president has recommended, the OSP and other agencies that have been involved in investigating this matter should continue. So to the extent that there are criminal matters that they have identified, let's make sure that anybody who is prosecutable is prosecuted, found culpable, sanctioned as necessary. I think that part of the processes, the president's commentary should not in any way hinder other criminal processes and investigations going on.
But what makes you think that there could probably be a cover-up from the presidency? Why there are now calls on the presidency to say, release the full report?
Well, let's put it this way. I can't say for sure there's a cover-up, but why would you receive a report that is of public interest and then only refer to portions you are interested in? I mean, how do we determine what is of importance to the rest of us? And that begins to raise questions and red flags. So it's a very uncomfortable situation. It's in the best interest of transparency and accountability that the president ensures that the entire report is put in the public domain, so that stakeholders within the sector and across the country can have an assessment of whether KPMG delivered on the mandate and whether the recommendations, especially the most weighty ones, and what has been put out in the president's brief recommendations that he has authored and provided to us.
Adam Senano, I'm grateful to you for joining us here on JoyNews Prime. So Adam Senano is, an anti-corruption campaigner speaking to us there. This is still the JoyNews Prime, and we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll still have more news for you. To stay. Welcome back from the break. Now, the director for the Institute of Applied Sciences and Technology at the University of Ghana, Professor David Dodo-Ahene, says an innovative way of solving the plastic waste menace is by educating the public on turning plastic waste into a profitable venture. Speaking at a workshop at the University of Ghana, he said the approach does not only address environmental pollution, but also promotes economic sustainability. There is more in this report by Zuleha Nuhu.
Plastic waste is a major problem in Ghana, with blocked drainage systems leading to flooding. According to the United Nations Environment Programme, an estimated 86% of Ghana's waste plastic load is improperly disposed of, resulting in plastics clogging up stormwater drains, rivers and streams and more. But how can this change for the country to benefit from plastics? The director for the Institute of Applied Sciences and Technology at the University of Ghana, Professor David Dodo-Ahene, says more people have to be trained on how to turn the plastics into profitable ventures.
We are having a partnership with the Europe Recyclers through a project by the European Union called Horizon 2020. And the partners are from Finland, Netherlands, we have Belgium, and industry players in Europe who are into the European recycling. Realize that this is an international problem. The plastic waste is not only in Ghana. We also have similar situations across the world. The bigger part is it's entering into our oceans, and sometimes it enters into the food chain. Our fisher folks will go to fishing, and sometimes the net, instead of getting fish, they are getting a big catch of plastics. So what is our contribution to this? Our contribution is finding lasting solutions to this in another way and incentivizing the people to collect these plastics, because when you collect the plastics and you are able to get some money out of it, what we call the pickers, they get it, we weigh, then we get money out of it. We will encourage people to do that.
Professor of Materials and Chemistry at the University of Eastern Finland, Jekko J. Saranen, stressed the need for collaboration between Ghana and other countries in addressing plastic waste. He said the dual nature of plastic as both useful and environmentally hazardous calls for an urgent need to mitigate its harmful impact.
Our mission here in Ghana is to strengthen the collaboration between our university and the University of Ghana, and then also learn from each side's what are the best ways to treat plastics. I think it's a valuable material to be reused in similar applications, so we shouldn't be wasting precious materials, and also we shouldn't be doing that for the environment. Plastics is a marvelous material. The main reason why plastics are used so widely is their durability, and that's the reason that they are so good in the applications in which we use them. For example, if you have an artificial hip joint, then the bowl will be made from plastic, and it functions really well. But at the other side of the coin is that we have the durability is a problem if the plastic ends up in environment, in the place where it should not be, for example in the oceans. So it's people should not be throwing plastics away in the environment, but it should be collected and reused to guarantee a better future for all of us.
Waste Segregation Officer at Jekora Ventures, Budu Kumoji, called on the government to make waste sorted a policy for waste management companies.
When you segregate your waste at source, you are able to add more value to the materials. So waste, or there's a saying by Zimmerman that says resources are not, they become. So what you declare waste is what is waste. So if you don't declare anything waste, it is not waste. So we are encouraging that plastic materials, especially for purposes of this program, plastic materials should be sorted at source. At the point of generation, do not lump it up with all other waste materials. Keep it separately. One important thing as well is there's no policy that says that people should segregate their waste. So even in some areas where we do not operate, you get individuals who have probably lived outside the country and are used to such systems. They segregate their waste, but the waste management company that is accredited to service them does not have these services. So they separate it, but then when the company comes to collect, they lump everything up, and that's a waste of effort. So over time, they stop it altogether. So we are suggesting or recommending that a policy should be made such that every waste management company would use this approach, and it will go a long way to help us as a nation.
Well, Ghana is spearheading a bold initiative to tackle global plastic pollution by proposing a global pollution levy on polymer production. An estimated 86% of Ghana's waste plastic load is improperly disposed of, resulting in plastics clogging up storm water drains, rivers and streams, and causing floods like the infamous June 3 disaster. The innovative approach, which seeks to hold manufacturers accountable for the waste generated by their product, is currently being advocated for by experts from the Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation at the ongoing Intergovernmental Negotiations Conference on Plastic Pollution, including the marine sector in Ottawa, Canada, convened by the United Nations Environment Programme. There is more in this report.
The world is gathered here in Canada with a common goal: to address the pressing issue of plastic pollution, particularly in marine environments. With over 1,000 diplomatic delegates, including governmental and non-governmental groups, the focus is on brainstorming and making crucial inputs towards the creation of an international legally binding instrument on plastic pollution. Currently, there's no such international instrument, leaving individual member states to combat the problem with local laws. However, the United Nations Environment Programme is holding the 4th session of the Intergovernmental Negotiating Conference in Ottawa to develop this instrument. The goal is to protect nature and people everywhere from the threats posed by plastic pollution. In her address at the opening ceremony of the 4th INC session in Ottawa at the Shaw Centre, Executive Director of the United Nations Environmental Programme, Inga Anderson's greatest concern was about the future of the world if continuous use of plastic is not regulated.
As we deliberate, plastic pollution continues to gush into the ecosystems. So I ask for INC4 that you show energy, commitment, collaboration, and ambition to make progress, and that you set the stage for INC5 to finalize the instrument that will end plastic pollution once and for all.
On the part of the INC's Executive Secretary, Jyoti Matha, multiple polls have shown that the public is heartsick about plastic pollution, and as businesses are innovating with new products and asking for clear long-term global rules, the finance sector wants to get behind this opportunity.
Deliver a text that is as close to possible to the final agreement that we all want to see. And we also need a strong mandate on intersessional work that will allow the committee to finalize the instrument in Busan. You delegates know the issues that need to be addressed at this session, and that flexibility will be needed to reach consensus. This is the only way forward. Do not leave the difficult discussions, the difficult conversations, and the difficult decisions until the end. We all are not naive to believe that we don't face challenges in the coming days. But our determination will overcome these challenges as we have no choice but to succeed.
Key stakeholders, including civil society, indigenous peoples, scientists, and businesses, are advocating action against plastic pollution. The African Group of Negotiators has outlined priorities, with Ghana proposing measures like a plastic levy to reduce pollution. Oliver Boache is an advisor at the Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology, and Innovation.
What we have said is that the polymer producers should pay less than $100 per ton of the products that they produce. If they pay, we know them, we know how much they produce. Every year, we will raise the equivalent of about $35 to $45 billion. This amount of money can be spread around to all the various countries so that they will be able to have what it takes for them to manage the plastics.
Meanwhile, the Green Africa Youth Organization in Ghana, which is actively implementing projects to reclaim plastic litter and support policies aimed at reducing pollution, says the treaty after the INCs will be the best way to reducing plastic waste. Coordinator for the Zero Waste Project is Jacob Atakpa.
In order for this treaty to be meaningful and for it to have an impact, there needs to be, first of all, a reduction in global plastic production. The levels at which globally we are producing plastics is very unsustainable. In order to achieve SDG 12, it's important that we bring down global plastic production to reasonable levels, maybe even 30% less relative to current production levels. But it's also important that you look at plastics from a full life cycle perspective. That is to say that there is pollution along every part of the production process, even through to waste management.
So after this all-important meeting of stakeholders across the globe here in Ottawa, in Canada, the last meeting will be at the INC 5, where the legally binding documents will be firmed out and finalized for all to sign to this treaty. Failure to do so will surely come with some consequences. But right behind me is the plastic tab. It communicates one thing. If you continue to throw plastic into the water bodies, we would one day be consuming this, and the end product will be the disease you and I may contract. Reporting from Ottawa here in Canada, Samuel Mbura, Joy News.
So that's my colleague Samuel Mbura there from Canada. Now, away from that, the Asantehene II has requested the clergy to consistently extend prayers to him and the Asante Kingdom for longevity. To mark exactly 25 years since the Asantehene ascended the golden stool as the 16th occupant, an anniversary Thanksgiving service was held at the Menchia Palace. Emmanuel Bright Kweku was at the event and has come through with this report.
A joyous time before God as the people of Asanteman and others joined in worship for keeping the Asantehene II under grace. It has been 25 years of unparalleled rulership, servitude and honesty to the Asante Kingdom after he ascended the golden stool as the 16th occupant. The non-denominational Thanksgiving service saw members of the clergy, the Kumasi Council of Churches and traditional leaders gracing the occasion. While offering gratitude to his sub-chiefs and Asantehene, Otumfuo Osei II implored the clergy to extend prayers to the kingdom for quintessential leadership.
I always ask the clergy to pray for me. I thank my sub-chiefs for their unwavering support for the growth of the Ashanti Kingdom. It is by your efforts that we are here today. I want to charge you all to continuously serve in togetherness and peace.
For all of these goodness.
Presiding Bishop of the Methodist Church Ghana, Most Reverend Paul Kwabena-Boafo, eulogized the king for his exemplary leadership.
He's a beacon and a symbol of peace for our nation. Now, what my young say, Ahiniya no say about betina komyaso near tons asidie. What my young say, Ahiniya goes with development. And no hunting, yeah, Manfo na ebo, the akase, Onyame asidan count.
Some royals and members of the clergy also spoke to Joy News.
He has done very well. He has been forthright. He has begun some major projects. He hasn't finished yet, but at least there's something to show.
We haven't seen it before, nothing like that before.
So going forward, what will be your prayers for him?
That he lives to be about 150.
Wow.
So that he will always be there to take care of us.
All right. So yen pa bonu fo anase de oye nsoni a enko otiema nko bi ema eto tu fo bonu say ya ne dom which say he's do the moral job, the good things abi bi opagan nkwanko.
And he's done so many things to show the brilliance of our culture, you know, that others may see and follow. You understand?
On May 12 will be the Grand Durbar. That is where we are going to climax everything regarding the 25th anniversary of Otumfuo Osei II. But on May 4th will be a day where they will unveil a stamp for the king. From here in the Menchia Palace, my name is Emmanuel Brightpick.